Good afternoon. This is Desiree Dubois, founder of An Empowered Woman and HomWork. And tonight you have the pleasure of joining us on our Let's Talk Success MasterMind dinners with our special guest, Alycia Houston. Good evening. How are you doing today?
I am fabulous. Thank you.
You look fabulous. You feel fabulous.
you.
We're so excited because I know bits and pieces of your story, and I'm just anxious for the ladies to hear who you are, what you've done, and you're going to share your story, your challenges, your victories, and your secrets to success.
You got it.
So, story. Let's start there.
So I would say my story started when I was 25. You know, there's always something that happens that kind of sets you off. And I was 25. I was working at Children's Hospital of San Diego. And we had a new research director join the team. And I had already been there for about 7 months, and it was great. The team was fantastic. And he came and he joined the team. And immediately he started interviewing all of the people who were there working, of course, as he should. Next thing you know, it's my turn, and he calls me in and he says, okay, so this is your position, this is what you do, and you have an office. I said, yes, I do. He said, Unbeknownst to me, a couple of weeks later, he let me know that I was no longer going to have an office, that he didn't feel that my position warranted an office, and therefore I was going to be moved to a cubicle. So he began building out a cubicle. I'm seeing this cubicle right before my eyes, right outside my office being built, and I'm knowing it's for me. My boss is just like, I am so sorry, Alycia. And I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. You know, I'm getting a clear understanding of what leadership is not supposed to look like. And so with that, I was actually pregnant at the time with my second child. And so I told my husband that I was not going back to that position. So left on maternity leave and did not go back to that position. But what that did is it opened me up to reaching out to other individuals that I had connected with. So I reached out to someone else who said, I would love to have you on the team. Come in, let's get you started. She said, I don't even have a position for you, but let's get you started. So let me tell you, lesson number one is when you meet people, be truthful, stand in integrity, and be the best person you can be. Because of our meeting and her 2 interactions with me, she knew who I was with my core values. So she said, I'll make a position for you. So I came into that particular company. That was a nonprofit. So that's where I got my nonprofit 501c3 experience and understanding about what all that was. So I was there. We had a board of directors, of course, nonprofit, and it was in that space that I met my soon-to-be business partners. So we had a board of directors, as I said, all male, all Caucasian, all very left-wing, all very staunch, and not open to anything diverse, not open to anything different than what they had been doing all the time. So it became very clear that we were falling behind. It was very clear we were falling behind, and everyone was taking off, and we were becoming stagnant. And I said, this is not how I want to live my life. And I spoke to the other ladies, and I said, you know, we could do this, and we could do it better. And they were like, you're right, we could. So hence, in 2003, the idea was born that we were going to start our own biotechnology business. So we worked our little patooties off, and we exited very systematically. We exited with integrity, left everything in order, did not take anything with us, sought counsel, all of that lovely stuff. So we opened our doors to our own biotechnology research company in 2004. Women owned. We were very clear. Women were going to be okay if their children were sick. They're going to be okay. We were telecommuting before it was a thing. Now it's a thing. We were using GoToComputer, and so you would have to dial up and you could connect with your computer. So if someone's child was sick, they could stay home. If they were sick, if they were truly sick, they could stay home but still contribute to the environment. So it was really beautiful that we were ahead of the times in 2004 and didn't even realize it. So, like I said, I started with business partners. So there was 4 of us when we first started, and we each had very distinct roles. So we were very clear what our roles were when we began. So moved through that relationship, and then we had one of our business partners who said she was ready to leave. And it was not a great severance. So I have been through valuation of a company. I have been through mediation with a judge. I have been through fighting. I have been through just mudslinging. I have been through all of that from a business standpoint, and it was really, really difficult. And I have been through when there is a value placed on your business, but the business is not doing that well, that you still owe that other partner the money. And so there were a lot of components. Mind you, when we were breaking ways, it was when the recession was happening. So we didn't know at the time, but here we go. We jump into this recession. We have these couple $100,000 that we have to pay this other partner. And we're like, how are we going to do this? We have 15 employees. We have 20 subcontractors. How are we going to make this happen? And so I made a decision at that time, because I moved into the role of CEO at that company. And I made a decision. I said, we've got to tell the truth. So we brought the staff together, and my other two business partners were like freaking out. They're like, you're crazy. We cannot tell them. I said, no, we've got to tell the truth. So we told the truth that we are in a pickle. We're struggling. Here are the options. We can lay a couple of people off, or we can all band together and come up with a way that we can all minimize our hours, but still work together, work through this. So we took a very silent vote, and everyone except one person, we don't even know who that one person was, everyone but one person said, we're willing to cut hours so that we can all keep our jobs, our benefits, all of those things. And as many of you know, if you're a business owner and you're starting a business out with a brick and mortar, and you've got payroll and you have a lot of overhead expenses, sometimes you go without a paycheck. And a lot of the employees don't understand that, and you really don't want to bring them into that. And so one thing I can also share with you is that you have to be very careful. You want to be transparent, but you don't want to be overly transparent. You don't want to really have a vomitus of the mouth, as I call it. There is a level that you share so that it's transparent and people understand the plight and what you're dealing with, but you don't want to overshare, because then you can cause fear. And so you have to find the balance and be very careful with that delivery of what you share, how you share, to make sure it's transparent, but just not oversharing. So luckily for us, we were able to come through that. And everyone minimized hours. We just worked it out. It's really funny, as I'm even sitting here talking and I think about it, you don't even know how it all happened. You don't even know how it all worked and how it all just beautifully meshed together. But it did. It did. And so we were able to really kind of come up out of that as the market, started coming. And it was a process. Let's be clear. I'm speaking and I'm fast forwarding, but this was a couple of year process, because we all remember that crash was horrific. And it really affected a lot of us. I'm sure many of you even experienced losses in 401ks and investments and stocks and things like that, because I know I did and a lot of my friends did. So we were actually able to come out of that. And then we got to a point that we were, in the black. And then we were like, really in the black, right? Like we were like, oh yeah, we are doing it. And to the point that we began making waves in the industry. These three women owning this business. So we were a minority and women certified company, and we were making waves in the industry. So people were watching us. We never really had this idea that we were going to be acquired. We never thought about that at that time. Now it's just normal, right? But then it wasn't normal. That was about 2012, 2013. And we were like, what is this? What do you mean you want to talk about acquiring our business? Wait a minute. And then so we started speaking with, of course, wise counsel and started understanding, oh, this is that part. This is the good stuff. So started having conversations. So people reached out to us because we were just operating at such a high level of integrity within our business. Our deliverables were on point. We operated in excellence. People were talking about us, that our delivery matched the dialogue that we were saying, because we've all had instances before where we've connected with people and they've sold us everything under the sun, and you're like, what is that? And so our dialogue was matching the deliverables. And so we were making a huge name for ourselves in the industry, which we really didn't know that though. And it's really cool. It's really cool as I'm reminiscing. And so we started getting calls from people, hey, are you looking to, sell your company? We were like, huh. So it was great because we really moved into some real serious conversation. And the first gentleman, we moved into conversation. And remember what I said, we had a vision when we started that business to protect our women, in business, to make sure that if they were sick or their children were sick, they were not judged. They had a way to still work and contribute. And then if they really were sick, to just rest. So keeping those core values, always keeping your mission in mind, even when it comes to growing your business or being acquired. Does this align? And that first conversation, it didn't align because what they wanted to do was actually swallow the company and then lay people off. Yeah. And that was not in line with the vision. That was not in line with what we wanted to do. And so we told them no. And they were not happy because we had gone through, mind you, acquisition. We'll talk about a little bit more what acquisition entails, but it's quite a process. So they had spent money, people had come out, all of these things had happened, and they were not happy when it came down to the final negotiations, and it was a no. And let me tell you something. Those negotiations, those conversations grew me. They grew me so in so many ways. Just even my grit, even my standing up for myself, my standing up for my employees. Because one of my business partners, she was like, "We should just take the money. We should just take the money." And I was like, "No, that's completely. I would not be able to sleep. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I mean, I'm looking at these people. I know their families. One of the ladies was pregnant. I mean, it's just like, no, we're not going to do that. That's not going to happen." So just really standing up to these men in suits, because these are men in suits, be clear. Yeah. And they know what they're doing, and they're coming for you. They're coming in, and they're throwing everything at you. They're throwing it. And you have to stick to your laurels. And so it was a no. And so that one was gone, right? And then we had another one come to us, and that was more of a high-level conversation. After just maybe a couple of conversations, we realized they weren't the one. Then third time's the charm. Through the grapevine, we got connected with the actual company that did end up acquiring us. And we had some wonderful dialogues. We had some very real conversations, some heart-to-heart, this is what we see, this is what we don't see, this is what we're not going to stand for, this is what's not going to happen. And so in those conversations, we realized that we really were connected, that their mission, their vision for their company was the mission and the vision for us. We were going to be the Southern California location, so no one would have to lose their job, no one would have to, be swallowed up, but it would also provide more opportunity. And let's be clear too, when you come in under a larger umbrella, there are more things with 401ks, and there are more things with HSAs and FSAs, and a lot of matching. There's just more things that you can do in that sense. And so it just seemed like a win-win. And so we signed on the dotted line. And let me tell you something, when we were being vetted, because we were vetted, I mean, they had them on site, and they were going through everything with a fine-tooth comb because we could be a liability. They said we were one of the cleanest companies that they had ever seen. Wow. And let me tell you, that's because we invested early on in counsel. We believed in clean operations. We believed in documentation. We believed, we were regulated by the FDA. So we had SOPs that were so clear and concise. We had work instructions. So we were so tight. Not saying we didn't make mistakes, but we were so tight to the best of our ability because we knew the value of all. We had metrics. We had things that could be presented to show where we were last year to this year, last month to this month. We had a log that showed errors. We had error logs. So we were so tight with our operations that it made their job so easy. So that's one thing I would say. Any business that you're building, that you're creating, even from day one, be very clear on what it is you're desiring to create, and have a written plan, and then understand that that plan is breathing. It can always be amended, but don't amend it so quickly without giving yourself the opportunity to walk in the goals that you've set forth for yourself, to walk in the operational procedures you've set forth for yourself before you're like, oh, this is too much, this is too hard, I can't do it. Give yourself the opportunity, but be very clear on what you want to create and how you're going to get there, because you need that roadmap, or else you will get sidetracked, because it does become frustrating and it's hard. So be clear with that. And so the acquisition took place, and I will tell you, one of the things I did not bet on was the amount of chaos that it was going to cause within the company with the people. In all transparency, I thought we were clear, but you cannot account for the humanness that people are going to feel, the out of balance that they're going to feel. And now there's this new company. What's going to happen? Where do we stand? Are they going to fire us? So there was a lot of turmoil, to be perfectly honest, that I did not account for. And there was a lot of turmoil. And even when I went to the parent company and I said, who is our person? We need a person that can come, that can talk to the staff, because I can't speak on your operations yet. I'm not learned enough in them. So we need someone that can come and that can talk to the staff and calm the staff. And they hadn't thought of that either. I said, you need an acquisition-like liaison. Hindsight 2020, they actually implemented that with their next acquisition, but we were after the fact. So there was a lot of chaos, honestly, for the first 6 months at least in-house. We lost a lot of staff. They were out. They left. We lost a lot of staff. I'll say we probably lost about 25% of the staff because they were so uneasy and it was so unclear with where we were going, what was the vision under this new company. Right. And so we lost about 25% of the people. So that was one thing. If you ever have the opportunity to be acquired or to sell your company or to have that dialogue, there needs to be a plan, and it needs to be very clear so that you're presenting it to your people so they understand, yes, this is what's happening. However, this is what's going to happen after. This is how we're going to continue to seamlessly operate. And yes, we will have some hiccups, but this is your point person, and I still stayed on. I had no one on site. So I then went back under the corporate umbrella, and I was executive leadership, and I reported out. So there was a lot of frustration even on my part that I would not show to my staff because I did not want them to become uneasy, but there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of unanswered questions. There was a lot of, I felt I was being ignored. But what I realized is that's because my immediate boss now, she didn't have the answers. She wasn't clear. So a lot of times we make assumptions like, I'm being ignored. What's going on? What are you guys doing? And I was like, you don't know. You don't even know. And so that was really a very trying time too when we sold our business, and then losing 25% of our staff, and then having the rumblings. It gets ugly under there. It gets really ugly when you have that water cooler talk. And then people are interjecting and projecting their own, this is what it's looking like, these are the terms. And so acquisition is difficult. It sounds like, great, yes, we were acquired. We were a multi-million-dollar company. We had built that company up to $8 million, and we were acquired. It was great. It was a pain in the butt. It was a pain in the butt. It sounds good, but it was a lot. It was a lot leading up to it. It was a lot even after, to the point that even my health I started having problems with my health, and I already have a thyroid condition. It started becoming exacerbated, and there's a lot of things where we don't talk about it, but I'm going to interject this: self-care. You got to take care of yourself when you're dealing in business, when you're running a business, there's a lot to business. And sometimes we can become so inundated and so lost with everything that business entails. Take care of yourself. take care of yourself. There is only one you. And I'm telling you, another thing that you've got to do in business as you grow your business. See, a lot of us, we think, oh, we want to scale, right? We want to scale. I need to scale my business. I need to scale my business. I need to grow my business. The first thing you have to do before you can even scale your business is make sure your business is viable. You've got to make sure you have a viable business before you want to talk about scaling it. So I'll tell you, at my previous company, when we started that company, we were trying to, listen, there were some big dogs in the game, right? And we were like, oh, we're going to be that big dog. We're going to do. No, we weren't going to be them. We learned the hard way, right? So we had to sit back and say, what can they not do because they're so big and automated, right, that we can do? So we started brainstorming. And then what we started doing was talking to our clients. We started talking to our clients. Hey, we know you work with such and such too, and you work with us. What are some of the challenges that you have? So we began gathering data. And with that data, we were able to actually, so this is how we kind of relaunched, we rebranded ourselves. You know, today people think a brand is a logo. No, we rebranded, our essence, your brand is your essence of your business. So we brought forth a different essence, that we were a boutique IRB. So we were an independent review board. We oversaw and monitored clinical trials. So we were a boutique IRB. So yes, we were not for those big dogs. So if you're working with that big dog and you have like thousands and thousands of sites, we can do that, but that's not really our niche. This is our niche. We can customize. See, those big dogs couldn't do a lot of customization because a lot of things just automated. They just came out on a machine. So there were things that we could do that were automated, but we could still customize. And so we became known as the IRB that was the yes IRB. Like, we could do things that the bigger person couldn't do because they were just chugging things out. You know, they just hit buttons and the documents are just churning out. But we were able to customize in a way that made it easier for our clients as they were dealing with their physicians' offices or their sponsors or whomever. So we became a true partner. I started to see what partnership really was about in business. I started to realize that when you connect with your client and where their pain points are, and you become the solution from a place of genuine caring, not just I want to make this dollar, but a place of genuinely caring about their outcome, about their audits, about what they have to endure. It changed the game. And that's actually how we began to move up into the 7-figure and the multi-7-figure, is because we began to have relationships with people. We began to care. It was not just about the dollar. And it was just so beautiful to see the manifestation, right, of all of this. Like, this is what happens when you care about someone, when you listen to them, you know, and then when you not just listen, care, but you implement and you get into action and you get over that part that you're like, yeah, this is a little hard. This is a little tough right now in this space, but we got this. And I'm going to tell you another thing that really changed it for us was I was very adamant on speaking to my staff and listening to my staff, because my staff did the work. You know, I had done it at one point, but I was now at a point that I was CEO. I was dealing with budgets. I'm dealing with contracts. You know, I'm dealing at a different level. And when I would listen to my staff and I'd say, okay, so we've had an error. You know, we have an error that's come back and this document has gone out to the site and there's an error. Talk to me about what do you think happened? And they would say what they think happened. They would say how the error happened. Sometimes, listen, it was just human error, you know, just not being as aware. But sometimes there was another reason. There was something that we should have automated that we didn't automate. So just listening to even my staff helped us create automations in the business that allowed us to move with much more efficiency and speed, so that the clients were like, okay, so you're getting us things even more quickly. So now we know you can handle even more business. And so we would get more business because we were more efficient and we still operated in excellence. And then they were telling other people. And then they were like, we heard you did this for such and such. We'd love to have a dialogue. We have something coming up similar to that. So everything just began to work for us. So automation is crucial for scaling your business. But what you have to do is make sure you have a model that is scalable first. And you have to be sure that really everyone's on board too, because when you scale that business, it's going to get busy. And so you want to make sure that everyone is on board also, and that you are helping them be on board and show up the best way they can as well. And so there came a time that after me being there for a couple of years, I started to see the writing on the wall. I started to see things were changing. It wasn't my business anymore, right? And I started to see things were happening that were really not what I wanted. Let's be clear. Let's just be full transparency. Were not what I wanted. And I was starting to run up against brick walls. And there was beginning to be problems. Like they were starting to tell me to basically be quiet. Yeah, leadership was starting to tell me to be quiet. They didn't like my voice, but I voiced it anyway. And what's really interesting, and I think we need to be transparent about this, is that when my voice came forward versus another male voice. So it's very interesting, it's very real about the bias in business with men and women. So let's not push it under the rug. Let's face it. Let's bring it out. The elephant is here. It's very real. So you're not crazy. You're not crazy, but there are ways to have dialogue so that you can be heard. And it's really unfortunate that we have to do that, but we do at this time. Hopefully we will be the change that we want to see, right? As we continue to voice our opinions and to bring forth our amazing minds, because actually women are neurologically built to lead more than men, and women business owners are more successful than male business owners. So let's just be clear with that one. and it was just really interesting. And so I was this person that was very vocal, very verbal, and they didn't like that. But I was really, I was kind of like Mama Bear. This was my staff. These were my kids, my people. Like, you're not going to run over them. You're not going to do them dirty. But I had to also realize I had equipped these young ladies to take over the company. I had equipped them for their leadership. I had equipped them to handle whatever came next. And so it came one day that they called I saw them coming in the parking lot. They had, the big dog was there, and I said, oh yeah, something's going down. Something's going down. So to the point that I was like honestly, I started putting stuff away in my drawers. I started deleting stuff on my computer, because you live there. You live in your office, your computer, but it wasn't my computer anymore. It wasn't my company. So lo and behold, Alycia was let know that her position was eliminated that day, immediately. So let me tell you, I was pissed, but I didn't show it. I was very, okay, understood. Yes, got a great severance, all of that, but I was pissed, because it's like, if this is my business, why would we not, you could have done this differently still. I believe it still could have been done differently. And so I was angry. And I let myself be angry. See, at first I judged myself for being angry. Well, Alycia, you sold the business. It's not your business anymore. Why are you angry? I started trying to talk myself out of it, right? Started trying to rationalize. But then my girlfriend is a psychotherapist, and I said, I need an appointment. I need an appointment. I'm all about my mental health, you know what I'm saying? And I made an appointment with her as a therapist. And I was going in. I was so angry, all kinds of explicit language and everything, because I was really angry, and I was hurt. Yeah. And I was hurt because I thought we had a better relationship than that. And so through the dialogue and through all of that, I began to realize that this was really for my good, my health, everything. And so what I did not say is that the business I have now, I had already begun building it while I was there because I knew there was something more for me. I knew there was something different. I realized my amazing ability to build leaders, to work with leaders, and to help leaders strengthen their leadership, women leaders in particular, strengthen their leadership, and to be that CEO. A lot of times we have a title of CEO, but we don't know how to be the CEO, to embody the CEO, to be that woman in our business and not be the CEO. Oh, but I'm going to be the worker bee too. Oh, and I'm going to be the salesperson. Oh, and I'm going to be the contract person. Oh, and. So we get burnt out. So I started to see that in my own position, and I began to work with other women in that on the side. And so when all of this came about, I couldn't think about that. I was just angry. And I said, you know what? I'm going to jump into my business, right? I'm going to jump into the business that I've been creating. And I couldn't. I was so blocked. It was a lot on my spirit. And so what I want to tell you is give yourself time to mourn a loss. We mourn losses. Sometimes relationships don't work out, business or personal. I had to mourn the loss of the other business partner. She was amazing. We were so close, and then we just were not. So allow yourself to mourn losses. So that happened in October of 2017, where I got my walk-in papers. But I'm telling you, best thing that ever happened to me, but I didn't see it at the time. You know how that is. You know the cliche. So I basically gave myself the rest of that year to just chill. So that was October 2017. I gave myself all the way through. So last year was my first real year, right, in business, and I killed the game. But let me tell you how I did it. I did it by going back to those fundamentals, those foundational pieces of what it takes to build a business and to build relationships. So I began to tap into relationships I had built in that previous business, real relationships, and just to let them know what I was up to, how were they doing, let's have a conversation. And from that, I began, because people knew who I was. They knew the woman I was, that I am, the quality of work, the integrity, and they saw how I led my teams, and they saw the mastery in the teams that I led, and so they were willing to have the conversation. And from that, I got more. And from that, I am proud to say I have not even really announced this publicly yet. I got a call from NASA.
Wow.
I will be speaking at NASA in June 2020.
Nice.
Yes! To 250 of their leaders.
Wow.
And that is from doing the work. That is from allowing myself the opportunity to just be, to mourn. And that is from understanding my own genius, my own lane, and standing in it with power unapologetically. And then also understanding what's not my lane, because sometimes there's things that aren't our lane, and we start to encroach on them. And then we wonder why is this so hard? Why am I feeling like this? Because it's really not for you. And so I really have, this last year, 2018, was an amazing year. 2019, I'm already past what I did in 2018. 2018, that's 2018 last year, right? Yeah, 2018. Last year, I'm already surpassed that dollar value. And I'm surpassed that joy, like my joy level is higher. Just so many things. So, but it takes time sometimes. It takes time. And it takes the right circles. It takes the right people to speak into you, to pour into you, and to provide you with that wisdom, right? And then also to provide you with that kick in the pants when you need it, because sometimes we start to waver, and I don't know if I can really do that. Girl, yes you can. Yes you can. Yes you can. And so it's so beautiful that this space of what's being created, because just like you said, the accountability piece, a lot of times we miss that. And so, as I said, I had a brick and mortar. I hired a coach. And it was the best thing. And, it wasn't all popular. Now it's like you can find a coach. You just open your front door and there's a coach. But it wasn't popular. So people are like, a coach? What do you mean you're a business coach? It's like, you know what? I'm the CEO of a company, and there's some things that you can't, even with your business partners, I can't say everything, you know. There's some things that I needed to be able to say to someone who was a confidant, but also had the business acumen that could understand what I was saying and say, you know what, I get that. That's totally normal. And help me skip the strategy. So they have the business mind to help me strategize out of that. You know, so it was so beautiful when I did hire a coach, and then we actually all hired a coach for all of us. So we each had a coach, and then we hired one coach that coached the leadership team. And that was just so beautiful. It really allowed us to communicate at a higher level and to respect one another's dialogue and to respect one another's minds, because we were all different women. And so sometimes we can, one of my partners, she's very quick-mouthed and witty and a smart butt, and I tell her to her face, so she's a smart butt. And then the other one was very pensive. She would take things in, she would be pensive. She was very meticulous. She was the one who did all of our SOPs, our QA. She would make sure there were no dings on those audits, okay? So you can imagine those two, one who's very quick and, on the disc, a high D, and then the other one who's an SC, very, she's very pensive. And then you have me, I'm a DI. And so it was really good to have me as kind of that. But then I was like, okay, I cannot be referee, because they would go at it. Like, let me just be clear. So it's so important to surround yourself with people and those who have the leadership mindset that are not going to let you stay in a pity party, not going to let you stay in your lull, but can also help you with strategy. So where are you trying to go? What do we need to do? So it's so beautiful to have that marrying of both worlds. And I think a lot of times we as business leaders, we don't have that person. We don't have that person that really we can turn to and just say, I'm stuck. I want to just rip my hair out right now. My employees are driving me batty, and just being able to have someone that can say, okay, listen, I've been there. I know. So where are you trying to go, and help you out of the ditch? So surround yourself with amazing people that believe in you and that see the vision even sometimes when you cannot. Because a lot of times we can get caught in the muck, and especially when we're going to new levels, levels that we can't see over the precipice. Yeah. And so you can't see over the precipice, and you're like, I don't know if I really want to go on that ride. And so to have someone that's like, yes, you do, because you've been on the other rides and you're done, you've mastered them. So let's go to the new ride. And so it's just this journey. You never arrive. You never arrive. There is something new for you at each turning point. Yes, you're going to master what you're working on now. Absolutely. And then what? That's boring. You don't want to stay there. No. Then it's like, what's next? What's next? And what I'm really finding for myself right now is I'm moving into a space of collaborating with amazing individuals that I have met along the way, right? And some even new. And I'm in this space of phenomenal collaborations. And even be careful with that, though, because I've had collaborations that have not been so phenomenal, but I've learned my lesson. So just really being clear on what it is you desire to create, and then coming together with that person or persons, and moving to that point, and just understanding what it is you desire, and being okay with, like, you know what, this is not a fit. You're a lovely person, but this is just not a fit for what I'm looking to create, and I think we're going to have a little more heartache than joy. So it's just, this ride is never ending, and it is not for the faint of heart. Let me be clear, okay? And I'm sure you all know that. It is not for the faint of heart, and sometimes people don't understand that, how you're willing to go all in and sacrifice it all and burn the boats and everything, It's really interesting how some of us have that spirit and some of us don't, and it's okay. And it's totally cool, to not have the entrepreneurial spirit. It's okay. And so be careful if you judge anyone in your circle, because I was judging my husband, okay, let me be clear. I was like, you don't get this thing. I don't know if I can stay with you. So be careful judging people, because you know what? They just may not get it. And so you just know you can't have that type of dialogue with those individuals. So just like this beautiful environment, this is where you have those dialogues, and this is where you just lay it on the table like, I'm really struggling with this, you know? And you go from there. And it's just a beautiful space to be in. I don't think through everything, all the trials, all the tribulations, all the almost losing homes and short selling homes, you know. Short selling homes is very real. Short selling homes in the recession. And just all of those things, I wouldn't trade it for a moment. I would not trade it for a moment. And my kids get to see their mom like, okay, you know what? My mom did that. I can do that. My daughters, my son wrote a paper about me in college I didn't even know about. So we're inspiring people that we don't even realize, you know, others outside of ourselves. And so it's just a really powerful space to be in, very humbling, very grateful space. And just knowing that this is simply the tip of the iceberg, because I'm only 45, honey. I have a long way to go.
Wow, that's really nice.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I'm going to let the ladies ask a couple of questions.
Okay.
I'm going to get my camera.
Okay.
Questions while you're on.
One of the first things, you're spectacular,
Oh.
the way that you communicate and you connect with people. Do you have any tips on how you handle yourself when you are face to face with a powerful man in a situation? Do you do the, you know, honey more than, you know, do you, what is your experience?
So I will tell you what my experience is with that. That is one thing I do not do the honey more. I don't drip the honey more. What I do is I am very clear. So give me an example. Like, are you in a conversation about business with a powerful man, or what's the environment?
There is a piece of real estate.
Okay.
And I am a female real estate investor, and I am dealing with a male real estate investor. Let's say we're having a communication about a piece of property.
Okay.
And my boyfriend, who doesn't know quite as much as I do, is in the background.
Yeah.
I get brushed off, but as soon as my boyfriend picks up the phone and calls, all these things start to happen.
Yes.
Even though he doesn't know
Yes.
as much as I do.
Yes. Yes.
That's the situation.
Got it. The man code. So that is the man code. So like even with your car, you'll experience that.
Yes.
You know, so I can.
Big time.
Yes. So let me tell you when that did happen to me, because I did experience that in my business. Because one of my sales reps was a man. He was amazing, and I had received a call from a particular pharmaceutical company, and it was a man who was very powerful. And he was calling to speak to my sales rep because he wanted to verify something. Now, your sales rep, they're on the road. They're gone. They are traveling. He said, I've called his cell phone. He's not answering. I said, well, because he's on the road. And I said, is there something I can help you with? I can help you with the information. Well, no, I don't think you can. So let me tell you what I did. And it worked beautifully. I said, wow. Are you being dismissive because I'm a woman? I called it out. And he, no. I said, I don't think you would have spoken to John in that manner if he would have said, I have the answer for you. And he couldn't. See, sometimes when you turn things around and you put it in people's faces, it is almost embarrassing. So we have to bring it to the forefront. A lot of times it's this undercurrent. So I brought it out, and he apologized to me. I apologize. I did not mean to be dismissive. No, I'm sorry, Miss Houston. I'm sorry. That was very rude of me, very rude of me. And I said, so are you willing to have the dialogue now? Because I guarantee you I have the answers you're looking for. Keep your voice very calm. Do not, that's where your emotional intelligence comes in, and I can tell you got a lot of it. And that the dialogue, and just keeping your dialogue very calm, but bringing it to the forefront so that it's very clear, it's in his face, about how he is actually dismissing you. And you ask him, are you dismissing me because I'm a woman? Because I'm a female? Because that's the essence that I'm receiving from this dialogue. And then let him answer. Be quiet. Do not interject and keep talking. Just be quiet. And you'll say, oh, I just wanted to be clear. I just wanted to be clear. So do we have permission to continue this dialogue? Because I guarantee you, everything that you need to know, I've got within me. Guaranteed.
Absolutely.
Change everything.
That is so cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. And let me know.
I will. I can't wait.
I can't either. Because it just changes things.
Yeah.
It changes things, yeah.
The thing is, you're still able to maintain your femininity without without changing the level with them. You're not getting on their level. You're not getting, active or emotional. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, the emotional
It's not
intelligence.
emotions, not to maintain emotionless. Because that's what they tag us as being emotional
Oh,
creatures.
yes,
And so if
yes.
we can communicate without emotion, then that
Yes.
makes them suspect that, oh my gosh, what's going on?
And then they catch themselves. Yeah.
What about you, Anna? Any questions, Patty? What are your thoughts?
Do you have a question? I'm trying to think of like what part I want more
Right.
information on.
No problem.
It was, thank you for sharing. There were so many nuggets in there, and I just think your overall kind of approach is really amazing. And it seems like you. I guess I do have a question. So obviously you are really great at developing leaders, and you were very invested in people early on. Was that part of your role from the beginning, or was that something that just comes naturally to you? And like, how consciously did you guys, I guess, did you put systems in place where that was a priority at the company, or was it something that just came naturally?
So to answer your question, that was something that came naturally to me. So I just have to be honest. That's just I have just been that type of person.
Yeah.
But it did not come naturally to my other partners.
Okay.
So it became important that I share with them the value of us really caring for others, being a relational business.
Yeah.
And so with that, what I did, so yes, we implemented practices in place because I saw the change when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to bring all of me here. When I gave myself permission that I didn't have to be this person, that I can just bring all of me to this workplace, it changed everything. The level of loyalty, the dialogues that began to happen with my employees, with me, to the point that I was like, okay, y'all, this is an open door, but I don't even want to know all that. That's like too much information. So that they became so trusting with me. And that even one of my business partners, she really saw it very quickly. She said, okay, there's value in this. I said, yes. My other one's like, I don't want to be doing this touchy-feely. I said, there's not touchy-feely. Yeah. I said, it's really just a matter of letting people understand that you care for them. Right. So what we did is, yes, it's innate in me, not so much them, but it has to be, right? Like I need to help them develop that. I knew it couldn't be me helping them develop it because they'll be like, you're not listening to you. So what I did is I found a lovely firm it was a women-owned firm in San Diego, and they worked on the emotional intelligence, communication, team building, but we didn't call it team building because everyone's like so over that. Yeah. And so, but it was a beautiful space that we would come together quarterly. Okay. And then, so we would do it quarterly. Okay. And then, but what it would do, we would also do is allow the individuals to reach out to their leader, their team leader outside of us. Okay. So, and then I had the relationship So they didn't feel, so it was like they didn't feel, and then the team leader would never say, Susan said, you know, it was like, so I want you to, because they were trained to be able to decipher and to coach them if there was something that needed to be brought back to us, or if it was just something that could be diffused in that moment. So we would not receive, so we weren't inundated, because that's what happened, that's what starts to happen. You become inundated. And so we had to outsource that to an amazing team where we did not become inundated, and then the individuals began to feel heard, and they began to feel valued, to the point that it just even completely like minimized to nothing.
That's amazing. It sounds like it created a layer of separation too.
Absolutely.
So you're not managing
Yes.
the personal relationships
Yes.
with employees, and I think
Yes.
that's what sometimes can get
Yes.
difficult.
It does get
The
difficult.
first company I had, we were the same age as most of our employees. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We were one step away from those jobs that they were doing, and it was difficult sometimes to separate
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
some of my employees are my best friends to this day.
Yes.
It's a lot easier now.
Yes.
But it is tough sometimes to have to step into that role and really create the
Completely
separation.
understand. My business partners were my friends.
Yeah.
You know, they are my friends.
Yeah.
And so there were times that I had to pull the CEO hat, and I was like,
Yeah.
so that's not happening. Oh, and they would fuss, and no, we're not doing that. This is what we're doing. And I'm pulling the card right now.
Yeah.
I'm pulling rank, you know? So I know that space that comes with that. And there's some people we're not going to be able to get away from that
Yeah.
with. But if you outsource that, get a company that outsource that component, and be clear with the company what you're looking to create, so they can help you create that. So that was the first time that company had done that. Like, we were like, this is kind of what we're looking for. They dealt with communication, but I was like, this is kind of, and they're like, okay. So they were flexible, they were willing. And so we basically helped them create another business model within their company. So it was awesome. So, but I'm going to tell you that separation,
Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So you started your company with your partners.
Yes.
Do you feel you would have been able to achieve your financial goals without those partners?
You know what? I do not, at that time, at where I was in 2004, I do not think I would have been able to do that when I started that business. Who I was 30 years old. So I was 29, I was young, and so there was not that business maturity yet. So that one partner that decided that she didn't want to do this anymore, she was very integral in my business maturation, my leadership maturation. She used to run a hospital. So she really developed my leadership. She took a very strong hold to me, and taught me contracts, metrics, KPIs, all of those things, and help me hone the skills that were natural. So I do not believe I would have experienced that success. So that was important at that time to have them. And I do believe that we all needed one another in that time.
So what about now, though, as far as, all of us want to lead the building multi-million-dollar businesses.
That's right.
And
Yes.
so you think, does it just make sense that if we had partners, good partners, the right partners, like anything else, that we'd be able to achieve that faster, easier, quicker, better?
That's a great question. So I will let you know, I have one client who runs an agency, a Facebook agency, a Facebook ads agency. And she actually, so the answer is yes, with the right collaboration. So she actually had the opportunity to connect with a gentleman who runs a different agency also, and bring their resources together. So in that dialogue, I was a part of the dialogue, I was a part of the relationship, the contract building, and what they have been able to do because of what we set up in place through the dialogues is they have been able to achieve more quickly, because they're now able to tap into the networks, and they have a more robust offering that reaches more people. So that's when I say collaborations, they can be phenomenal. They do not it doesn't have to be a must, but they can be phenomenal when done right. And another one of my clients has a collaboration, but she also still does some things on her own, and he does some things on his own, but they have a portion that is a collaboration. So there's just a new business model and a new stream of income. So to answer your question, yes, it just has to be the right collaboration. You don't necessarily have to become business partners
Right. It
per
doesn't have to be
se
in the formal
in the
legal
formal
way. It
S
could be
corp,
right,
C
could
corp,
be.
Inc, whatever, LLC, but there does need to be some type of
Collaboration does accelerate.
structure. Like, don't just say we're just gonna get together.
Which, at the same time, we are completely able to be our own locomotive.
Boom, right there.
But we still need the collaboration
Yes.
with like-minded
Yes,
individuals.
yes, yes.
And it makes sense.
Yes, but you can absolutely do it on your own with the right team. So I will never say you're going to be a millionaire with just you. Listen, just you and no team and no support. No, you will run yourself crazy. I just not today. So you can have your enterprise, and you can have an amazing team that is a support system, and you can create that success, but not just with you and you have no one to help you.
Support.
It's just not going to happen. Right. You'll just be, oh my goodness.
Are you finding now that in kind of your new business that support and team and ecosystem is more outside of like your official payroll than it was at your
Than it was
first
before, yes. So I do have subcontractors that I work with now, and I do have payroll. So I do have a team. Ooh, yeah, I got payroll coming came in today. You know that envelope, right? That envelope. So I do. Yes, honey, you already know. So, but I do find that now, because I did have quite a bit of experience in my other business with subcontractors, so I knew the value of them. And truth be told, we didn't always use our subcontractors right. I'm not there anymore, so I can't get busted by the IRS. You know.
I 100%
Yes, but okay, but yes, I would say that more of my support now comes from subs and 1099ers versus having everyone on payroll. And I do have an office. I do have an office with a brick and mortar, just that where I have an office.
Right.
But it's not my office anymore. My office building with all my people, how it was before. So it's there's a shift, right? And I like it. I like it. But when I need to have my team meetings, we meet at the conference room in there, and we all come in and we come together. And sometimes we Skype people in or we Zoom people in if they are not local, but they need to be on the meeting. So there's just so many opportunities now that did not exist really in 2004 or even in 2010. That we can do right now. But to answer your question, yes, more are 1099 than on payroll. Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah, no worries.
Outside of your business, I was interested when you said your husband was very much not the entrepreneur. My fiance is not either. How did you balance that early in your career when you were building that? Like, what did that look like inside of your personal relationship?
Yeah.
And what I guess if you can share some tips.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. Because
Success there.
let me tell you, it was not easy. So there was a lot of ultimatums, okay? I'm just going to be clear. But then what really ultimately began to happen is I was like, okay, I'm going to have to take the lead, right? The female leadership, right? I'm going to have to take the lead and set the tone for this relationship. What is this going to look like? So what I began to do was I began to say, hey, I began to involve him in what I was doing. You know what, we're having this, and he loved golf, right? So he loves golf. Yeah. So there was a charity event that I was invited to, that my company was invited to. Yeah. And I was like, I don't golf, but my husband golf. So that's just things I started to think outside of myself, giving him some of the perks and the yacht trips, the things like that. And so it started, he was like, oh, so this is what you should do.
All of a sudden it makes sense.
I was like, so this is a lot of work to get this,
right?
And I said, so I began to involve him a little bit more, and even in the operations, like, not that he was aware of what I was doing, but I was aware of what I was doing.
Right.
Just even in the dialogues about the operations and about just some of the struggles that I was having with certain clients, just, whew, my goodness, that client today, wow,
What do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and saying, I was, my husband's retired Navy, so he's dealt with logistics, everything, and he's very, very meticulous.
Yep.
So just like you said, you're brilliant. I was like, babe, da-da-da. And I was like, I know you dealing, because he was still in at that time.
Yeah.
I know you're dealing with this sometimes. Well, yes, and this is how we handle it. So just
Let them feel
appealing,
it. Yeah.
appealing to their ego a bit, and appealing to just bringing them in and involving them, so it's not so foreign. That was really, that changed a lot, and it's just time.
And that allows you to remain feminine.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. Yes, it does. And with that, excellent point. What I had to get really clear on for myself too is when I came home, I had to take that CEO. I was not the CEO of my, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I had to turn it off. Yeah, that was difficult. So you know what I did for myself? I would in my garage, I would actually have like a change of clothes, and I would just like take something off, like if I would just have a change of clothes, like maybe a cute little robe or something and some cute little fluffies. And so I would come in. So I would told my husband before, I was like, if you hear me pull in the garage, I am actually going to I'm moving into the role of home. So just give me the opportunity. You don't need to come out and meet me unless I call you and say I have something. Can you come help me? You know. And so it was just setting those boundaries, setting the tone, and that became really good, because it's then you come in and you just like, it's almost like the energy. You just leave the energy there. You just take that deep breath and you walk in. You're like, hey, babe, and they just love it. Like when you acknowledge them right when they walk in the house, because sometimes we're like inward, and we go. And what do? We go right to the home office.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's going to
Yes. We go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can pick up that energy when you walk back into the garage the next day.
Yes. There you go.
Sometimes it's so. I mean, in my personal life, I really actually don't like having to be in charge. You know what I mean? I do it
Yes.
so much during the day that I don't want
I
to.
don't
But
wanna
I
be.
love that idea of creating that ritual
Yes.
to just
Yes.
fully set it aside.
Brilliant.
Yes.
And
Truly
hang
brilliant.
it out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hang it
that's
out.
great.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what you like, but for me, and then what I would do is I would sage my garage every now and then to cleanse it.
Yeah.
Just to cleanse it,
That's great.
and then open the garage and let everything, just looks like, okay, I'm gonna sage, I'm gonna cleanse that.
That's great.
Feel a little energy stuck here. So energy is everything. Energy emits; it cannot be destroyed. It has to move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Move it out.
So invite you out. Bye bye. See you later. Yes.
Thank you. I
so
think we've
welcome.
worked up an appetite.
Yes.
The conversation continues at the dinner table.
I love it.
So thank you. It was amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
And what empowering thoughts I could leave our listeners with today?
Understand that the universe that you live in is created by you. So if you're in a place where you're experiencing some challenges or some struggles, what are you choosing to create above and beyond that? Or are you choosing to keep yourself stuck in the struggle, stuck in the challenge? Be clear, you create your universe. Your today is the sum total of all of the actions you've taken up until this point. And if you want a different result, take a different action. Start now. The choice is yours. It really is.